Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to Brown Girls Read, where we read and discuss books with a lens of brown culture and experiences. We are your hosts, Taman Tivana and Khyati Thakur, back here with season 3. Now, if you have been following us, you know that we took quite a bit of a break, and we have an explanation for that, which
Yes.
is this Burnout. This is our book for the day, and also the reason why we have been gone for so long.
Yeah, the burnout has really been real. Like, I think, and that's why I guess we had to take a break. And it's also maybe that's why we just gravitated toward this book, Burnout, because the title just resonated with us so much. um, yeah,
Yeah, I wanted to read this book because I was like, yes, this is what's been happening. I have to read about it.
I know. And I think it's also because, like, for the past 2 years, 2.5 years, it's been just COVID, staying at home, and no vacation whatsoever, not even going out anywhere. There has been no work boundaries at all. Like, it's just been so crazy. So, in the end, of course, like, it had to happen, right? We had to just have this thing where we're just experience like extreme emotional exhaustion, I guess.
I know, it's just like it was so tiring. And like reading books was tedious. Like
Yeah.
imagine that.
I know. Can you imagine that? I was literally like, why am I reading this? Like, any book that I was taking up, I was like, why am I reading this? What is it giving to me? Like, all of these things that were coming in my mind. Also, going on social media was so emotionally, I think, exhausting for some reason.
I know, like just logging into Instagram account felt like work.
Yeah,
And like
exactly.
these seem like trivial things, but these are like probably the big signs of you going through something.
Yes, it is. And we usually, I mean, before reading this book, I was literally just thinking that, it's a phase. Like, it'll go away. Or it's just, that holiday time where everyone is just slowing things down, and maybe that's why it's happening. But then when I picked up the book and I started reading about, like all of these things that are said in the book, like, the three components of burnout, which are, I have actually written them here, like emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced sense of accomplishment. Like, I was like, wow, like all of these things are happening to me, right? And that is how I categorize. That is how I identified that, yes, this is burnout, and this is not just, I guess, this is not just a phase, or this is not just tiredness for a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think it's tricky to identify it because words like burnout, depression, we use them incorrectly. Like if you're super sad, people say, I'm depressed, but it's not the same. It's like a big difference between actually being depressed. Same way, I think if you're really tired, you can think it's burnout, but then, like the book explains, right? Burnout is so much more than that. It's not just that you are tired, it's also that you start to become indifferent, sort of detached.
Yeah,
You don't care. You can't possibly care. Like you are that tired,
I
to
know.
simply put it, right? And then you can also feel like uh, loss of purpose or meaning
Mm,
in life, or just that feeling where it's like, why should I do this? Like, what does it matter?
right.
That
Yeah.
kind of feeling.
Yeah, this is exactly what was happening, in during that time when we decided to take a break. And but yes, now we are back. So
Yeah.
that's great too. Like, we are slowly getting into our rhythm of reading books and, discussing it and getting
I
excited.
mean, you have gotten into more than rhythm of reading. I log into Goodreads and it's like you are reading three more books every other day. And I'm like, what's happening here?
I don't know. I think it's just been, I guess what happened was, I just started taking myself very, like, like I started taking my lifestyle very slowly in because of this burnout thing, right? Like, I started relaxing more. I started accepting that I'm a human being, and I need breaks. I need to, spend some days where I'm not doing anything in a weekend, and that is totally okay. So when that happened, I started getting more into books and started reading them a lot.
I'm also curious if you uh, followed all this advice we get on internet or from people where if you're going through burnout, it's like self-care. You should color, you should journal, you should meditate, do yoga, and like that will cure your burnout.
Yeah, I think even in the book they say that, like, I'm going to answer this question by what they have said in the book. And that was like the first thing that I read, and I was like, yes, exactly. So they say that wellness has become into this huge industry. Like, it's not, I'm not just quoting from the book, it's just in my words, but something like that. They say that, this wellness industry has become into a thing where um it has become a goal in our life, a goal to achieve. And this is something that only rich people can do, with Oprah's phone numbers and stuff like that. So I was like, wow, this is so true, right? Like, people say, okay, so I'm going to on a spa day, right? And in LA, I used to do all that, spa days and stuff. It's like $150 a day, man. Like, of course, that's a rich people's thing, you know. So, and it's just like a goal that has become like for us to achieve through meditation, through journaling, through coloring, things like that. But really none of those things helped when, I guess, when I was there, when I was experiencing fatigue and burnout. What about you?
I was thinking as you were talking, right? Like, you know me, I'm too much into calendars and like blocking
Yeah.
time for things and everything. So I do that like for my personal planning as well, where I'm like, okay, just to get an idea of how my day should look like, I'll like block chunks of time. Um, so I guess maybe some part of me was realizing that it's burnout and picking up on these messages. And I had this like 30-minute window of on which I wrote self-care
Oh,
every
wow.
day on my calendar. And I started dreading that
Oh,
because
really?
I
Yeah.
used to be like, okay, I had this, I didn't do it. And it used to feel like guilt because I had so much more to do in life that that would get skipped. And then I would feel guilty that, oh, I am not prioritizing myself, I'm not taking care of myself. So it's probably like more damaging than, helpful
That's so
because
true. Yeah.
earlier I used to journal and all the advice you get. I used to journal because I wanted to journal, not
Hmm.
as a cure for burnout. And at that point, it was very reflective, very insightful at times. But I guess when you're going through a burnout, you don't have energy to take on more. What you
Yeah.
need is for it to become less.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people say that meditation is like one of those things where, you should do it for 2 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day, just start. But when you're in that, mindset where you're literally just looking to, I guess, just looking to, like, get out of that exhaustion, like, you don't want to do stuff, like, you don't want to do new stuff, right? I didn't want to meditate because I was like, it just seemed like work. It just seemed like more work. It just seemed like,
Absolutely. It's like one
yeah.
more thing on my plate.
Yeah,
When I'm
exactly.
already feeling crowded, like
Yeah,
I have so
yeah.
much to do, and now I have to meditate, now I have to color, and now I have to like, put on face masks and whatnot.
Yeah. So true. And then also, like, like the signs of burnout, right? They have also talked about that. Like, eventually you'll start getting some signs that you're like experiencing burnout. So what were those for you?
I think for me, it was like what I said, like social media felt like work.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes.
Reading books felt tedious.
Mm.
Like that had never happened to me before, and I was like, "Who am I?" Like I started to have that or sort of identity crisis. Like, if I cannot read, like, who am I
Then
anymore?
what can I do? What am I good for?
I know, right?
That's
That's
how
my
I feel.
whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
I read. That's my whole thing. I have nothing else if not reading.
Yeah. You know
Yeah,
what?
but it's
I
seriously like we used to love reading books and
Yeah.
discussing endlessly, right? And we start both of us like around the same time started feeling like, oh my God, uh, like reading this book is like homework. That's
Right.
not how it should feel.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's so true. I felt, yeah, like, I remember we had that meeting in October sometime, and we were just, both of us just so tired. We're like, let's just take a break. We don't care. Let's just say no to everything else that we have, planned and whatever.
Yeah, and I think it also probably comes from us being the kind of people who put too much pressure on ourselves. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
just it, but it's definitely one of the things where we want to do things perfectly. And we also, I think that's more me, but like we also want to do more and more, which is probably you.
Oh,
So, like,
yes.
that becomes like at one point, like, you stretch yourself too thin.
Yes. And then you have to acknowledge it, right? Like you have to just sit back and acknowledge what you're getting yourself into, and maybe you should just take a step back. Because you know what? Like this specs, I'm just so sad about this. It's just literally this sign of burnout, that I have got like on my face forever.
Well,
It,
that can be a good reminder for you, right? Going forward, whenever
yeah.
you feel like tired, you should be like, okay, I need to chill out because see what happened last time.
Yeah, last time I was there, I got this. This time I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I was literally like, it was like really bad. I got this huge case of spondylitis, and everyone kept telling me, this is stress, like you're really stressed. But I was like, no, like, what are you saying? I mean, I literally just sit and work all day, and that's it. Like, how can it be stressful?
Yeah, that's
Can
it.
you see the irony? Like,
I feel like we also don't want to admit that we are stressed, right? Because
yeah,
uh, maybe it's like a sign of defeat or something in our minds. I don't know. Like
yeah.
we want to be this like warrior who can do everything. Or like I still feel it's a personal failure that I cannot pull all nighters anymore because I used to be
Oh,
able to do that
mm.
in my early 20s. Right now, maybe I can push myself till like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., but after that, I cannot. And my day is just gone. But I look back and I'm just not able to detach myself from that because I feel like, man, this is a decline. I'm aging.
I know, for me, I can see that, like, eventually I've just not given up completely. Like, I'm sure I'm going to get back on with that. But, like, now I just, like, jogging. I used to love jogging, right? Like, now it has become so difficult for me in a way, not because like I've gained weight or I've become unhealthy. I think it's just like too much mental stress on me when I think about jogging. Instead, I love walking now. And that is like, I feel like that's like a personal failure for me, because I used to love, like, working out and going to the gym, and now I just don't like it. Like, and for some reason, I'm also not pushing myself to do it now, because of course, like, at some point you have to accept defeat. You have to say, okay, like, I quit.
I guess it's not even like defeat. I guess we are not embracing change, that
Yeah.
maybe we were different at some point of our life, and uh, we might like different things now, but we just want to stick to that person we were.
The mad woman in the attic, like they said in the Burnout.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, let's tell our viewers what mad woman in the attic is, the concept that they talk about in the book, Burnout. So, okay. So, I mean, I guess correct me if I just get this wrong. But I guess it's like the version of yourself that you want to become, right? Like the all the dreams that you have about yourself or where you see yourself. And the mad woman in the attic is someone you just really just want to become one day. So, and that person is just living inside you, right? Like forcing you to do stuff that you don't enjoy, or that you feel stressed about, just because, just to get something out of it, right? Some fame or whatever.
Who is your mad woman, Kathy? Tell all of us.
I'm so embarrassed, it just feels like such a such an immature person, that mad woman in the attic, like running behind like success and fame, and not not embracing who she is. But I guess my mad woman in the attic is, I always compare, and it's so irrational. Like, I compare myself to all of these successful Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, like, and I'm like, I want to be like them, like a hugely successful businesswoman, and where I'm get earning a lot of money, and setting up $1 million empires and stuff like that. And I'm like perfect, like my body's perfect. I can wear whatever I want. I'm taking all of these expensive vacation with my husband. Like, like that is my mad woman in the attic. And we keep thinking that, this is just like goals to aspire to. But no, like I feel like I mean, in the book also they say that they put such a huge stress on you, to do things that are, that you shouldn't be doing, right? These things get you into the state of emotional exhaustion at some point.
Yeah, and it also sounds like Instagram version of some successful person's
Oh,
life, because
definitely.
we don't know the backstory. We also don't know the unfair advantages that person had, right? Like
Yes.
some of these people come from already rich families.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you compare yourself to people who have had advantages of millions over you, and then you feel
Yeah.
bad about yourself.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you don't know the circumstances that other people have been through, first of all. Secondly, I feel like, especially in Silicon Valley, right? There's like this huge culture of white uh, men, like, who are really successful. And you look at, and they don't shy away from, portraying that they're really successful or portraying their wealth. And then you look at them and then you want to be them. But what you forget in this is that their background and where they're coming from and where we are coming from has been so different, right? So yeah, like, I think now I've started thinking more about that when I compare myself to something else or somebody else. But it's been a huge, I think, learning for me. But who is your mad woman in the attic?
Um, I guess if I were to articulate it, it would be someone who's really put together, has her shit together. She gets up in early in the morning,
Oh,
uh, and then she's productive all day, super productive. Like all the books I've read about productivity, like she embodies all of it. And um, yeah, I guess like that's where I struggle the most. Like I am not a morning person, so I set myself up for failure because my mad woman is a morning person. She gets up early,
oh,
and
yes.
like she does everything that we are supposed to do, like work out, eat healthy, be successful at work, make money, be really social with friends, and also um for an introvert, being social is another like set up
Your,
for failure.
yeah. Your mad woman is like, they're like an
Yeah,
extrovert.
opposite
Like,
of me,
yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem, right? Like, yeah, somehow, I don't know how it became like that, but who we want to be is like completely opposite of, what we are right now or who we are as a person. Like, I think that is so weird.
Maybe it's because the mad woman is made from the shoulds in a life where we're like,
Yeah.
this is what I should be. Whether you came up with it, whether your parents or society came up with. And then as humans, we tend to rebel, right? Like if someone is telling me to do something, I might want to do the opposite. So our personalities became the
Yeah.
exact opposite of that mad woman. Because I feel
Right.
like all this social aspect, right? Like I don't really uh, starve for that so much.
Mhm.
Because being an introvert, I think I'm very okay with my books and like, just myself not doing anything. But I think it comes from like societal pressure, especially our culture, right? Where
Yeah.
it's one of the traits of a good girl that she
Hmm.
is social, she can talk with people nicely and like whatnot. And I'm super awkward. Like I don't know what to say to people when I meet them the first time. I basically need an extrovert around so I can latch on to them and be like, okay, I'm safe. Like this person can carry on the conversation. So yeah, I think it probably stems from there. Like that constant comparison
Yeah.
to other girls around me growing up, where it's like, oh, look at her, she's so like nice and mingles with everyone. Like, why are you the weird one sitting in corner?
That is, I mean, I totally agree with it. I feel like, and this is the next thing that they talk about in the book also, right? Human giver syndrome. Like that we are just like, trying to give to people. Like, I mean, I guess, wait, do you want to say the definition? I forgot what it is.
So I don't remember the exact definition, but
Yeah.
I think they have coined this term,
Mhm.
and they say that most of the women fall into it because we live in a patriarchal setup where we are conditioned to grow as if we exist to serve others, to give to
Right.
others, So even in context of like being social, right? We are making everyone else feel comfortable and nice and welcome. It's not so much about me. And then
Right.
if you take it into context of your roles in life, like whether you're a wife or a mother, you exist to make your husband's life easier. You exist to support his dreams and ambitions. You exist to raise his children. You exist to like, keep the home as a home and like so many
Right.
things.
Right.
But
Yeah.
basically you're giving, and you're not getting as much in return, and it's not about like give and take so much, but like uh, thinking of you as a person also who has their own wishes and goals and
Right.
dreams. So I guess that's what the human giver syndrome is, where we are also conditioned into it that we don't realize that we keep doing this stuff, and
Right.
that creates a lot of stress for us in life.
Yeah. 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 That's what. Right. Like, I mean, I guess for me, like one of the human giver syndromes was cooking. I hate to cook, but uh, but of course, like if I'm living with my husband or with a family, like I am supposed to cook. Like I guess like it wasn't even like they were putting some pressure on me or he was putting pressure on me, but it was just like I was
Yeah, we
putting
just
that stress
learn
on
that.
myself.
We just
Yeah,
learn that growing up, right? Nobody
yeah,
needs to outright come and say to us, like, uh, if I am recording the podcast now, I'm not doing anything else. Like, I didn't make lunch today. I just
right.
got Chipotle. But like, I'm very comfortable with it now.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, like, I've trained myself to do this. But even then, there's like this tiny voice which will come once in a while to guilt me, where it's like, oh, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you are selfish for like putting your dreams or fun, even fun, right? It should be
yeah,
okay to put my fun first, but
yeah.
yeah, that guilt thing always creeps up, and that's like a lifelong thing where you have to be like, okay, tiny voice, shut up. And you
Yeah,
have this like internal battle of sorts, like so much extra like cognitive load.
I know. And you know what? Like, even so, I guess, like, even, I mean, especially Indian people, or maybe not just Indian people, I think, like, people in general, right? All over the world. If, if girls or women are doing a lot of things, like, if they're, like, overperforming in the sense that they're taking care of the family, they're taking care of their children, they're cooking everything, they're taking care of their in-laws, their parents, plus they're going out to work, plus they're doing their side businesses. Those are the women that are put on the pedestal for some reason, like like, see, like, this is like a multifaceted version of a modern woman, that everyone should aspire to be, right? And that is exact to me, like, after reading the book, after knowing about human giver syndrome, to me, like, that's a major case of human giver syndrome, that you're doing everything just to, like you said, just to become like a good girl in the books of others. uh,
And also like it's it's going back to what they say in the book, right? We keep putting the blame on individuals, but
mhm,
it's the society, it's the patriarchal setup that
right,
you to get respect, if you're a man, you just have to be a man.
right,
To get respect, if you're a woman, you have to be a overperforming woman.
yeah,
Eh, Today, it's not enough for you to be just someone's wife and mother. That like that housewife role is looked down upon.
right.
And then if you're working and not, uh, you don't want kids, or you are like, kind of like us, doesn't want to cook and whatnot, that also does not earn you respect. So you have to be
Exactly.
like, doing two-person job to get the
Yeah.
same respect as a man.
Yeah, yeah, it's not just enough to keep getting promotions at work. You have to also take care of your
Oh,
children. You have
nobody
to
cares
also be
about your
on.
promotions, to be honest. Like,
Exactly. Like, yeah, if you don't get promotions at work, it's probably just fine, as long as you're just
yeah,
like taking care of
where's
children
the
and
dinner?
family.
Where's the dinner?
Yeah, yeah. And it's just so annoying because I feel like this has been like a constant, because now that I'm moving to India, and I'm having these conversations with my parents and my, like, it's been a constant, like, battle on my side to keep my, like, my career first. Uh, and to keep my intentions of what I'm doing first, because now everyone is like, oh, now it's time for you to have kids, and I'm like, I'm not ready, right? I mean, I have to do
Good luck.
this.
Good luck with the move, Kathy.
It's going to be very, very interesting. But
Oh, definitely. I can't
yeah.
wait to hear the stories.
This podcast will hear a lot of stories in the coming months.
Well, then it's good, right? We started with this book because if they kind of stress you out too much, you can identify it now.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm going to be like, you're just burning me out. I'm just going to take a vacation in Goa and, and be there for some time. But yeah, I guess another thing also for that has manifested itself in human giver syndrome is, the desire to be perfectly healthy, in the sense that like slim and I guess
I
in
know
the
that's the
perfect.
definition of healthy now, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. It's not like healthy is just looks now, right? Like how do you look?
and it was mind blowing. Like, they have all this research in the book, right? Where, um, so we all, when we start on this journey of fitness, like I'm doing
Yeah.
air quotes, but basically dieting, we come across this term BMI, which is
Oh
just like,
yes.
a formula for calculating a number, which tells you whether you are overweight, you're obese, you're normal, or underweight or something. And they mention at one point, and I knew about this part, that at one point the normal BMI used to be much higher than it is today. So let's say your
Oh.
BMI was 30, you were
Mhm.
normal, but today if your BMI is 30, I think you are overweight.
Yes.
And that is because at one point a bunch of people who are in position of power decided this. They just made the decision overnight, and overnight so many people got categorized as overweight and obese compared to
Wow.
before. And of, I think of the 9 people on that committee or board, 7 were like, founders, or they had some stake in these wellness fitness industry.
Mhm.
So you can see the motive there.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Wellness, like, wellness is presented to us in a way that, we start questioning ourselves, right? Like, am I eating healthy? Do I need to change some things? Am I, working out properly? Am I working out enough? Things like that. But and then that puts another sort of stress, that adds to this whole stress cycle that's already been going on for us, right? And
I know.
yeah, and I feel like this idea of being an ideal weight and being an ideal body type has never left me. It has been there since I don't know, since I turned 10 years old, I think. And since then
I
it's
mean,
just been there forever.
there's no way it will go ever, like completely. You can
Yeah.
start accepting yourself. You can, like, with time you accept more and you understand more. That's part of it. But I don't think it completely goes away because there's so much messaging that comes at us, right? Like now, so I told you, right, there's some wedding coming up, and my mom was asking me uh, if I wanted some dresses for the
Mm.
wedding. And then I started looking at Instagram pictures for ideas, and then again, like, there's only a certain body type you see, and
Oh
then
my
you
god,
start
yes.
feeling bad about yourself, and then you
Yeah.
go into that whole cycle, and then uh, you have to bring yourself out and be like, hey, I thought I was okay with myself. I did not
Yeah.
know this existed.
So that's so true, like for me, I have gained a bunch of weight since COVID, and I'm still trying to, like, get into the mindset of like this whole body positivity thing, because now I'm like, I can't go for running for an hour and a half, like that's just too much. So let's just embrace body positivity. But it's like a daily mental struggle, because you're like, you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm fine with how I look, I don't look so bad. And then you go to Instagram and they're like all of these model type people who are just like, wearing beautiful clothes and stuff, and you're like, damn, like, I should start working out.
That's the
um
thing, though, right? Like, we constantly see unrealistic images, and like that becomes,
yeah.
to go back to our Mad Woman example, right? That's another like version of Mad Woman. I think we all women have, where we
Yeah.
are constantly wanting to be a different body type
Yeah.
because nobody is that body type because it's photoshopped and CGI and
Yes.
whatnot. Nobody has that body. Like, even the person you think has the body does not have that body.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not even just like if you're overweight. I know someone who was underweight. Like, that was her body type, that she looked
Mm.
underweight. And she would go see a doctor to be like, hey, why am I not putting on weight? Because, she didn't have the curves,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a beauty standard, right? Because if you're thin, you would not have that.
Right.
Only like, Photoshop touch ups can give you that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think, I mean, honestly, like I was this whole talk of like body positivity, and that reminds me, I was watching this documentary on Netflix called Fire. This scam, this yeah, like the what was it? Like
Yeah,
the
that festival, right?
festival,
Fire
fire
festival.
festival
Yeah.
scam that happened. And in that, like there were like amazing models, on yachts and stuff. And I was telling my husband, I was like, oh my god, if reincarnation is real, in my next life I want to come back as a model, as a white tall pretty model. And I was literally like, like literally like praying like, god, can you please make that happen, can you? And my husband is like, wow, you are so immature, like this is this is next level.
I know.
so so
I
yeah.
can see his point.
And yeah, all this talk of body positivity, and then that is the next thing that you're doing.
But yeah, like, you know, it's very hard to get out of it, like to
Yeah,
completely get out of it. Like I
yeah,
totally understand. Uh, I feel like it's one of those things where even if you, I don't know, like who can speak for tomorrow, but I feel like even if you are like very body positive and you accept yourself and love yourself, this thing can still remain like a regret of sorts where you feel like,
yeah.
man, that did not happen for me. Like I
Right.
wish once that happened, or like something like that.
I know, right? Like this, it is just how the world works, right? Like pretty people, they just normally just get everything that they want. It
I
feels
know,
like that.
unfair advantage.
It is an unfair advantage,
It
they
is,
don't
yeah.
have to, yeah, they don't have to like prove themselves or anything. They just like, they're just there, and everyone just gravitates to toward. They have like this extra gravitational
I
pull
know,
with
right?
them.
At least like the first step you get like attention from people, and then you
Yeah.
can pitch your idea or whatever.
Exactly. I just keep comparing, like, this to like my cat, because my cat is an asshole. But like he's pretty. And that's why I'm like, if he wasn't pretty, like I keep telling him, if you weren't pretty, and no one would, take a second look at you because you're an asshole. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's just here. That's why I remembered. But yeah, like, I think uh, that's one of the things that we are definitely never getting out of, that
Well,
mindset.
I totally agree with their research then, right? Like as we are talking, I'm realizing like all women have this stress of
Yeah.
not looking
Yes.
like forget
Yeah,
everything else.
everyone
Like
has all of
all women have this
it. Mm.
at least one extra stress than men have. Like I think men now also have it a little bit, but it's not the same. Like I
Yeah.
know, like
It's
in Bollywood, you see actors with fake abs drawn up on them now. So I guess people who work out might be going towards unrealistic standard in that way. But
yeah.
it's like, women have been getting these messages for decades, right? So
Yeah. It's
you,
ingrained in us. It's
yeah,
just so deeply ingrained in our brains that we are just not good enough, like when it comes to looks. Definitely. Yeah. And I guess another thing is, when they talk about this, like all of these things in a way, like they add to, like, like the mad woman in the attic, or the body positivity, or human giver syndrome. Like all of these add to the stress cycle that's already been going on for such a long time. And that's like just been unacknowledged by us. Right. That's what they say. And that's why I think I like this book, because they're like, they help us to identify some of these things. Uh, like the mad woman in the attic thing, I don't know if I would have ever acknowledged that.
yeah,
uh
definitely.
yeah,
Unless somebody coins a term for you or just like tells you, like, hey, this
yeah,
exists and
yeah.
you relate, sometimes you can't articulate what you're going through.
Right, right. Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of the stress cycle, though, um, so they tell us like how I really like the example of how in the early man age, let's say, right? How if a tiger is after you, you will go through this whole cycle of whether you will either like fight or flight, or you can also freeze, but you'll do something and the cycle will complete at one point. Either you will die, cycle completes, or you run away and you flee the tiger, and then again it will complete itself. um, and they say that in modern day our brains work like that. There is that cycle, but we are not able to complete the cycles because every day something happens, stress remains, we keep going
Right.
on, next day something else happens. And so they gave like a few tips. I don't remember all of them. Do you like
Oh,
to
yes.
how to complete the cycle?
Yeah, yeah. I made a note of all of this, how to complete the cycle, like those tips, because I mean, they're not new tips, but like they're like tips that we can use. So one is like they said that breathing, like breathing 10 times a day, like inhaling 10 times and then exhaling 10 times, like that. So that helps to reduce cycle. And I think that is very, like, I've been trying that because of, like also the Apple Watch, it keeps reminding you like to breathe every, I guess every half an hour or something, take 8 breaths or whatever. So that actually helps. Like I have been doing that. That's been helpful. And another one they say, and which I really like, is the positive social interaction, right? Like, I mean, talking to the people that you like, uh, that usually gets you out of that, that mindset of stress cycle that's been going on. It I don't think it will completely remove it, but for a little while you just get out of
I
that
mean,
mindset.
if your job is really stressful, it's not going to
Yeah,
change it, but like
yeah.
maybe it will give you a break.
Yeah, it'll give you a break, of course. And like when you talk to people that you like, that who are on the same wavelength as you, there are different interactions, something might come out of it, or etc. Then there is laughter. And when I read this, I was like, remember all those like old people like laughing
In the
like
parks.
madly, yeah, in India. I guess that really helps. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
I have actually read somewhere else too, like, sometimes brain cannot tell if it's real laughter or fake, and that's why it
Oh,
works.
okay.
But it just looks ridiculous.
It does, yeah. And also like what do I laugh about? I mean, I guess it's just fake laughter, right? You're just sitting
Yeah,
and
yeah,
doing ha
you
ha
just have
ha.
to do ha 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 ha. Like,
Oh, see, it helped in some way.
I mean, we don't need it. We have been laughing throughout, even
Yeah.
while talking about stress. So
Yeah. Another one that I really liked was affection, like kissing. Kissing, they said kissing for 6 seconds. That helps. But 6 seconds के लिए कौन kiss कर सकता है यार? मतलब
I know,
कहाँ से?
right? Like
हाँ, six
in
seconds is
this
a long
like
time.
short attention span world, like 6 seconds, you're
हाँ.
like, oh my god, 6 seconds is too much.
Our husband's actually listening to this and they must be like, what the fuck? But yeah, kissing for 6 seconds, 6 seconds is a long time if you think about it.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
But I've read about this one somewhere else too. Probably on
Mhm.
some Instagram post, I think.
Oh, really?
That's
Okay.
where I get a lot of my education.
Instagram is the source of news, and it's the new university.
I know.
And then they say being creative. So being creative, like, I guess, yeah, like painting, music, dancing, art,
That one
stuff.
works, I can tell you that. Because I
Yeah.
think one day I had a really bad migraine
Uh-huh.
and I had thought of painting something for my friend's birthday. So because I made a commitment, so एक बार commitment करती तो फिर मैं किसी की नहीं सुनती. So I was like, no matter what, I'm gonna make it. Um, so for that 1 hour that it took me, the headache just went away, man. Like
Oh,
that's
really?
how I was engrossed in it, right? Like, so I was away from whatever stress or pain I was feeling, and it came back later. But like for that 1 hour, I felt nothing.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I have been like doing dancing and stuff like 15 minutes a day. I mean, I do it like on Oculus, like because it's fun,
Oh,
like
I saw
that
your
way.
video, yeah.
Oh, yes. That really helps though, that's really helpful. Like I guess I started with once a day, but now I do it like thrice a day because it's just so much fun. Um, so yeah, so that helps. And then of course the last one they say is workout, which just moving your body like physically in some way, going for a walk or a jog or something like that. But I think like the thought of working out at this point, like the thought of working out like I used to work out in gyms and stuff is just exhausting me now. Like, I don't know if I can do it.
I actually started working out like that after
Oh, really?
maybe almost 2 years. Because for
Ooh,
2 years I've been just walking. So maybe
yeah.
that can be a frame of reference that it can take a while for you to feel like, okay, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to walk.
Right.
But now I found some like YouTube videos, and that person has like a 10-week program.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I just like finished. I think I'm at week 2, but first week everything hurt. Every single part of my body hurt.
Oh, really?
But yeah, um, so yeah, these I think these are all the tips, right?
Yeah.
I guess like I was kind of disappointed, if I'm being honest, when I read these, because if you read the where is this cover? It says the
Mhm.
secret to unlocking the stress cycle, and I'm like, these are no secrets, man. Like I knew all of it. Nothing is new. Like it's such a clickbait kind of thing. Like just
Yeah.
name the book for what it is. Just tell me you're gonna talk about research on burnout. I'll still read it. I don't
Right.
mind that. But what is this like secret to unlocking? Like there's no secret. And on top of it, I think when I read this, I wasn't feeling like working out at that point. And I was like, man, why is everyone telling me to work out?
That's how I feel right now.
I was like, give me something else, which is non-workout that can complete the stress cycle. I was like, I actually, you see all these notes I make, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's actually a note in here where I'm like, I'm so disappointed with this book. I can't find it now, but I saw that today and I'm like, okay, I
Oh,
was too mad.
that's interesting.
But yeah, jokes apart, like, and just this one gripe I have. Otherwise, I think I really like the book. I
Yeah.
think this research is something that people should know about, and they should know about all these like stressors which you don't realize are stressors, right? Like whether it's coming from your giver syndrome, or whether it's just coming from like some disadvantages you have in life.
Right. Yeah. I guess like just yeah, just to talk, like just to give us even the nomenclature of, human giver syndrome or the mad woman in the attic. Like that was also
Yeah,
important because now we know that, these are the things that are in us, that we have never acknowledged because we didn't know about it.
yeah, definitely. I think the more I grow, I feel like language is so important. Like
Yeah.
growing up, we did not have language for so many things, right?
Yeah.
Whether to talk about your feelings, whether to talk about what is stressing you out, and just having that is powerful.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So I guess this was our entire discussion on burnout, but we should move on to brownie points
Oh yeah.
now. Yes.
So I think the biggest brownie point for me is because it's a very research-based book, right?
Mhm.
What I really like is that they have talked about how people can have unfair advantage and disadvantage, and how that can affect you. Like it's not an individual's problem, it's systemic barriers that can exist. So we can't just be like, hey, you are burnt out, go put on a face mask. That doesn't work, and we
Right.
need to stop doing that.
Right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like all of these things that happen in the name of self-care, like, putting on a face mask, going to a beauty parlor, spending like 3 hours there, going to a spa, like, all of these help.
Add Adding more burden though, right? Like to a
Yeah,
person who's
exactly.
already
Like
stressed.
they help if you're just tired, right? But if
Yes,
you're like
yes,
actually exhausted, or like, if you're having any of these symptoms like depersonalization and stuff like that, then it doesn't help. Then it's just like more work that you're more pressure that
yeah,
you're putting on yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I liked about the book also was like, their references of like Hunger Games to explain something like they were saying one thing like everything is rigged, right? So just their
Yeah, they had a
explanation
lot of
was
pop culture references in there,
yeah, yeah,
which makes it like light, because research books can be heavy, and we have read other
right.
books, right? Like Invisible Women was one, right? Like
Yeah,
as amazing as it was heavy.
it
So I
was
guess that,
really,
yeah,
yeah,
this was a good way of writing.
right. Yeah, I liked it too. They've made it interesting. Okay, so before we end our discussion today, Daman, what are you reading right now?
So I'm reading two books right now, both by brown authors. First one is called Brown Girl Like Me by Jaspreet Kaur.
Mhm.
It's a narrative nonfiction. I just picked it up, so I can't say much yet. But uh, I, I'm sure you must have seen the cover I
Oh, I
posted
love
on
the cover.
Instagram, right?
Yeah,
Like it's awesome.
yeah. I'm going to read
Yeah,
it. I'm going to pick it up. I think we should maybe discuss it also on the podcast at some point. If I
don't add more things to your list. You're talking
Oh,
about
it's so
burnout right now.
true. See, this is like, yeah, that's so true.
We'll see. We'll see as it comes.
Yeah.
Second one I'm reading is by Neil Patel. It's called Tell Me How to Be.
Oh,
I
yeah.
also just started that one. So, like, but we decided to discuss that on our podcast.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's a good book.
look forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I already read that one. That's a really good book. That's very, like that's interesting. That's an interesting read.
You are speed reading this year. I'm just like amazed.
No, I think that's because I'm going on walks now, right? So like I go on a 90-minute walk, and that is when I'm listening to audiobooks. So like, I'm just going through books like one after the other a
I think
lot.
we have reversed positions. Last year,
Yeah.
that was me.
Yeah. But I love it. I think one of the reasons why I love going on walks now is because so
Oh,
I
yeah,
can listen to
definitely.
books. Yeah.
It's such a incentive to get
Yeah.
out. Like,
Right.
I think it's like how we discuss habits tracking with atomic habits.
Right.
Like, you put two things together and you end up doing it in a better way.
In a better way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. And but I'm reading so many so many books right now. Like
And
I'm reading two, no, three books, but one I haven't started yet. It's an audio book that I have to start today because I'll be going on a walk right after this. But the two books that I'm reading is one is My Life in Full by Indra Nui. That's a
oh,
fun, like,
I'm gonna start that one after I
yeah.
finish these.
Yeah, it's a very sweetly written, memoir, like a very not like too many. She hasn't gone into too many complexities or too many, things about her career or whatever. But she has like written it in a very nice way. I really like it. We'll discuss that, but yeah, that's a really nice book. And the other one that I'm reading is it's called The City of Brass. It's by an Indian author, and it's a fantasy book, like sci-fi fantasy book, which I could never pick up from my own volition, but I
Yeah,
have this
I'm
time.
surprised.
Yeah.
Who forced you, Kathy?
I don't know. I just looked at, I was just scrolling through Goodreads and I saw that book and I was like, wow, this looks very interesting. And before even I knew that it was a like, because I don't read summaries and all before I pick up books, like I just like pick it up for some reason. So I just,
Yeah, now I just
yeah,
like look at it and pick it up. Earlier, I
yeah,
used to read like a lot about summaries. Now
yeah.
I feel like who will do that extra work? Let's just read the
Let's
book.
just read it. Yeah. Also, I was looking for, like some sort of fiction to read. And this is a trilogy. So it's good because I can just, keep reading the same story. Like, I don't have to think about picking up another book, fiction book again. Picking up fiction books is a really big task for me. I don't know, for some reason. Like, nonfiction, I'll keep reading and reading, like all these books. But fiction is such a huge task. But yeah.
Let me know how that one is.
Yeah, yeah, I will. So far, it's really good. I have finished half of it. It's really like I just can't keep it down. Like I keep reading it till 3, 4 a.m. It's a really fun book. But I guess that's it for our discussion today.
Yeah,
Um,
and we definitely recommend the book. You should read it. If anything, there's a lot to learn in there.
yes, yes, there's a lot to learn about yourself as well. You will get to learn things that you don't know you had in you. But
Like the Mad Woman.
like the mad woman. Okay, so yeah, so if you enjoy our conversation, follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we'll be bringing up a lot of other book discussions going forward as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.